We've all been there, feeling stuck in the grind, chasing that freedom we're aching to find. But what if the answer was clearer than you knew? With numbers and strategy, we'll walk you through. No more shame, no fear inside. We're turning pressure into power and fight. From paycheck to purpose, we rise above. This is your moment, it starts with self-love. Big, bold moves, abundant life. Fearlessly debt-free, we're doing it right.
I am so excited to have you here. When I read through all of your journaling and all of the things that you've done, what really stood out to me is how truly vivacious and fun you are. There were so many things that I'm really excited to talk with you about here on Big, Bold Moves, Abundant Life. So Mary, why don't you tell us a little bit about you to get started?
Oh my gosh. I don't know where to start. I think in terms of this podcast, what I wanted to talk about today is my yoga journey. And I just want to invite people to be open to that because some people are put off by yoga. They think it's religion or whatever, and they feel weird about it. But I'm just going to invite everyone to have a really open mind about it because the important part of the story is the bold moves. And so I'm excited. Thanks for having me today.
That is awesome. And I'm very glad to have this conversation. And you're absolutely right. And that's really the focus, is to allow us to open our mind and to really think about things maybe differently than we've ever thought about them before. But because the name of my podcast is Big, Bold Moves, Abundant Life, I always like to ask this question first because I believe it's defined very differently for each person. So my question is, how do you, Mary, define the word abundance in your life today?
Ooh, in my life today. Oh, I feel like abundance is everywhere if we look for it. And I have a regular gratitude practice. Every morning, I write down things I'm grateful for. And every night, when I put my head on the pillow and I'm getting ready to fall asleep, I ask my dog, Peanut, what are we grateful for today? And I just go through a list of 3 to 5 things. And I'm always looking for what are the beautiful things that are happening right now. And I think that defines abundance for me because there's abundance of beauty everywhere and we just have to look for it.
Absolutely. The things that I've done to really look into who you are, because of course we just met recently, we line up on so many things. And I'm excited to have this conversation because the things that I'm reading about you, I'm nodding my head yes. And oh, I like this girl. So I know that you gave me some information to really focus in on based on your journey. And you do talk about alignment because, as you describe it, is a felt sense, F-E-L-T, felt sense, not a checklist. So what does that inner yes actually feel like to you, especially when you look back? Can you see where that has taken you through your journey?
Oh, yeah. Alignment to me is I'll feel it in my chest and I'll feel it in my stomach too. And it's a light. It's like a light is just bursting out. Like maybe it has a color, maybe it doesn't, but it's like beams of light just coming out. And I feel like, yes, like this is where I'm supposed to be. And I know it because I feel good all over and I just know. So for example, when I decided that I was going to take my first yoga licensure, you do 200 hours in the beginning. I had no money to spend on it. I had very little time because I had kids at home and my then husband traveled a lot. So there was very little time. And everybody's like, you're never going to find this. And I was like, no, I'm going to go for free. I'm going to go out of the country. I'm going to go somewhere that's warm. And I'm going to, what was the fourth thing? Free, out of the country, warm, and in the shortest amount of time possible. So first, I had to get a clear vision of that. I had to sit down and decide, what do I want? Not what's possible, because that gets in our way. It's what do I want in my dream world? If I could have it any way that I want it, what are the things I want? And I came up with those 4 things. And then I journaled about it and I made a vision board. And then instead of just going, okay, I'm waiting for the universe to make that happen, I started doing my research. But it all felt great. And I'm going to tell you, I got all of those things. I did my training in 2 weeks in Mexico in the desert. I got it for free because I made a deal with the guru. And my flight was covered by frequent flyer miles, which I didn't know before I started. That was just an added bonus, right? I did it. So the shortest amount of time, free, another country, and it was warm. And yeah, crazy, right?
You put it out there and you attracted it into your life. No question at all. No question in my mind. So to that doubter out there who might be thinking, yeah, that's great for you. And you did describe that beautifully as you set your intention, but really before even setting that intention, knowing what you want, what do I want? What is it that the one thing that you could say of all of what you just said that is the first step in making that happen? The very first step.
The very first step was just deciding I wanted to do my yoga training. And people had asked me to teach them yoga at that point. I'd been practicing in a community center and I had been going to classes regularly. And people just were like, will you teach us? The teacher wouldn't show up for some reason. They go, Mary, you lead the class. I'm like, I don't have a teacher. I don't feel comfortable doing that. So I was like, okay, next time they ask me, I just want to be able to do that. I had no idea that I wanted to teach yoga as a regular gig at all. I just knew I wanted to do my training. But knowing that I wanted to do that was the very small first step. But the biggest part was deciding, how do I want that to happen? Ignore what sounds reasonable, ignore what is real, right? Who would think you could get your yoga training for free? That's nuts. But I made a reasonable deal. I just pursued it. Somebody said to me one time, and I think this is a pretty common phrase, when you run up to the bus stop and the bus pulls away, say a prayer, but then run like hell after the bus. Don't just say a prayer and wait for the bus to stop. Try, right? So I think it was that moment of deciding what did I want to do and how do I want to do it, and then taking action. And the universe rewards action, or whatever you want to call it, the greater, higher power, or whatever, rewards action. So it was taking that action and making it real in my head, like seeing it in my head and making it really real. I think that's important too, because I ghost wrote a book for a neurologist one time. And so I learned a lot about how the brain functions. And anything you can see and in your head and feel in your body can become real. And that's science. It's not woo-woo, it's science. Athletes use this all the time, right? We know it works. We just don't do it. And I've tried it with, I have a yoga client now. I am teaching yoga, by the way. I have a yoga client now who is in her 70s and she has MS. And when she can't do something, I say, close your eyes and I want you to see yourself doing that thing. And then she can do it. Not always perfectly, but a lot better than before. Isn't that crazy?
I think it's crazy amazing because I believe that same thing. I feel like in life, we limit ourselves. You got the, like you said, you can't do it, you can't do it, but we have to overcome that. We get more of what we feed. And I'm in the fitness industry as well. And so when I talk to people, I don't expect perfection. Just try and see what you're doing to better who you are. Make sure the focus isn't on the perfection. Make sure the focus is on you trying. And if you want something bad enough, and I tell them, I say, okay, we're going to work on balance today. I want you to start with this one phrase. Why is it that my balance is so good? Why is that? And they're like, "Rah, rah, rah, whatever, my balance is not good." And I said, just try it, because if you're not connected with what you're telling yourself, you're never going to succeed. I
Mm.
absolutely believe that. We have to stay connected to what we want. We get more of what we feed, and we feed more of what we want. You just have to remember those little principles. Like you said, you hear all these little, these little words here and there throughout your life, and they make a huge difference. They always say that the conversation of you go in to buy a red car and you've never seen a red car in your life and you buy the red car and now you see a million red cars all over you. It definitely works. So I want you to tell me, okay, you go, you travel, you get all of this done, everything lines up and everything is exactly the way it should be. Did you run into any obstacles along that journey?
Of course I did. My husband was like, "You're going away for 2 weeks?" And I was like, "I'm not going away for 6 weeks. Some of these programs are 6 weeks long, right?" And I was like, "No, I'm doing this the shortest amount of time." And he was just like, "What?" And I was like, "No, I'm doing it. Like, this is my life. It's what I want to do. And I'm going to be a better mom, wife, everything if I'm able to do the things that are important to me and a better model for my kids." I think that's really important. Other obstacles were I don't speak Spanish and I flew by myself to Baja, Mexico. And when I got to the airport, they weren't speaking English there. And I had to navigate out through customs and to the right bus. Like I was taking a bus to a hotel before I was going to where I was going. So that was scary. I'm by myself in a strange country and I'm fearful because I'm an American and I think Mexico is full of criminals and whatever at the time. It's not, by the way, and people were very nice and helpful. But there are people who are trying to take your money at the airport. You got to be really careful. But those were obstacles. That was scary. And we were in the desert in Baja. So there's not staying in a fancy, it wasn't a fancy hotel, it wasn't some spa atmosphere, whatever. We are camping in the desert in Baja with a shower with a bucket. And we did have a real toilet, which was nice. Oh, but just those things. And I had a roommate and we had these very nice big tents. I still was sharing space with a stranger. Those were all obstacles. Yeah. But I think what's important too, when you're in alignment, you also need to celebrate each step of the way, not just the finished product. Yeah, of course, I celebrated the last day when we got our certificates, and that was great. But I think even just in the planning stage, celebrating, sending that email to this total stranger asking them for a scholarship, doing the research, just looking by chance at my frequent flyer miles and finding I had 10 miles extra. So
That's amazing because again, like you said, it's you really want it bad enough, you'll figure out a way, find a way, but to know that everything lined up and you did have those obstacles. And I think the reason I asked you that question is because again, sometimes we hear people's stories and we think everything is all, what do they say, rainbows and unicorns or whatever they say. And we have to go through the challenges. So that was a really great high time in your life. And you did say that a lot of what you did to attract that into your life with doing those yoga classes and somebody approaching you, sometimes we just have to be open-minded. We never know where the next turn is going to take us. But do you want to go ahead and share? I know that you talked a little bit about a moment in your life where things just imploded and it's understanding that things do happen. We all have a story. You lose everything, but then you rebound and you take another leap of faith and you find yourself in a new place. And maybe if that didn't happen, you wouldn't be where you are today. Do you want to speak on that a little bit and how you were
oh,
feeling?
yes, I do. Thank you so much, Lisa Marie, because I think a lot of people have a fear of getting to this place. And I know a lot of people would have reacted differently than I did. So in August of 2018, there was a convergence and I lost absolutely everything in within 10 days in August of 2018. I found myself homeless. My car was totaled. I lost my major income streams. My boyfriend broke up with me. So I didn't have a car or a job or an address. And what I quickly learned, which is sadly what hundreds of thousands of people know in our country already, is that without one of those things, you can't get the other thing. And now here I am in my 50s. I have a master's degree. I grew up an upper middle class lifestyle and I have nowhere to live and I'm couch surfing. And I'm asking friends, can I stay here? Can I stay there? My family juggling me. And it was awful. It was terrible. I had already booked a trip with my guru to do my next level of yoga training in India. And everyone was saying, just cancel the trip, Mary, and take that money and get started. And I just said, no, I know that I'm supposed to go on that trip. I don't know what it is about it, but I know that I am supposed to do that. And as soon as I just let go and threw up my hands and stopped spinning, like trying to get an apartment and trying to get a car and trying to get a job, I just said, okay, I'm letting go and I'm going to figure this out. And I'm still going to India. I don't care what anyone says, how stupid that is. I had done some training at Yogaville Ashram, which is an ashram is a place where people live who want to live a yogic life. And the largest ashram in the United States of America just happens to be in Virginia in Buckingham County. And I had taken classes there before. And I knew that they had a program where you could go and live there for a month. So I applied and it was perfect. They accepted me and I had 3 days to get just 3 days and I could go there, spend a month there. And the last day of that program, I got on a plane and I went to India. So it was like the perfect fit, right? And yeah, literally, I finished my meditation in the morning and started a 36-hour journey. And 36 hours later, I was in Delhi.
I feel like if you hadn't gone through what you went through, that may not have happened. And I feel like, too, when you're speaking, that you almost can see it like that was a no brainer. Of course, I was going to go. I had nowhere to live. Really? What did you have to lose by doing that? Where if you had really battled against that and said, I'm not going, I'm going to use the money to go to the other option of getting the place and doing all the things that we're told that we should do, it probably would have worked out very differently. And
Yes,
was that one of your felt yeses that you've done in your life?
definitely yes. And I have to say that I'm so grateful I did it. And I'm so grateful I did it that way because being in the ashram helped to prepare me for India because India is very different than the US and it can make Americans crazy because it's not like here at all. And then that trip, by the end of that trip, I was like, I have all the same problems, but I don't care. I know I'm going to be fine. I needed to get in that place in my head. And that's why that journey was so important. Because I agree with you 100%. I feel like if I had kept trying to solve the problem, that I would have just continued in this circle of not achieving. And I needed to change my mindset and I needed to come back and go, I don't have anywhere to live. And I have to say that the universe just started lining up for me. And then I came back and I called somebody and I said, yeah, I'm still looking for a place to live. And they said, oh, I have a friend who's looking for a roommate. And I ended up, not only did I get an apartment with a roommate, I ended up in the top floor of a 10-story building with a fantastic view. I was totally taken care of. And within a week, I had a job and someone was really wonderful and just said, yes, come, you can come work for me. And then I was able to build a business while I was working there. Yeah.
I love
This is
that. That is so great. That's what it's
the
all about,
flow.
right?
It's the flow. It's when things happen, right?
I think about immediately when you said, I tell people, like, just take a breath, relax. I call it take a sailor, just to chill. And for me personally, that was big decisions I made in my life when I just stepped back away from it and just took a pause. We get into this mindset of, oh, we're American, we live in the greatest country, and we got to do, and we got to do what the mainstream expects us to do. And so reinventing yourself is something that people don't often do. And I think it's so important to think about who am I and what could I do? And let's look at all the experiences that I've been through and where am I today? And so we're going to talk about reinventing yourself. And clearly you've done that more than once. Talking about graduate school in your mid
Yeah.
30s as a single mom, starting all over, building again. What was that like for you?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. That was a whole nother thing that I manifested. Really. I sat down, I decided I'm going to go to graduate school. And there were a lot of factors involved in making that decision. I decided I wanted to teach marketing in at high school. And the number one program for that was in Virginia at Virginia Tech. And there just happens to be a Burris Hall there, just an aside. All you Hokies out there. That's my last name. And that was a relative that was the president of the college, the university. Anyway, I decided, again, here's how this is going to look. I've got to borrow money to go to graduate school because I'm a single mom and I didn't have the money. And my ex-husband kept, and if I were myself now, I would have just told him, yeah, whatever. I would have said whatever. So I had my own successful PR business. I was doing great. And he didn't like that I was working weekends and evenings. And you should be with our.
This episode is brought to you by Fearlessly Debt Free. Do you have great income, but the debt just doesn't seem to be going down fast enough? Just know that you are not alone. At Fearlessly Debt Free, I help people just like you pay everything off. Credit cards, loans, even mortgages, in half to a third of the time, for half to a third of what you owe. And no, this isn't budgeting, it's not debt consolidation or bankruptcy. It's math, it's strategy, and it's automatic. And it works. How would it feel to be completely debt-free and to start building incredible wealth much, much faster? Schedule your free Debt to Wealth discovery call today at fearlesslydebtfree.com and take your next steps fearlessly.
So then I was like, oh, I'll just go get a job where my days off match my son's days off, and then we won't have. That's dumb. Number one, I should have just said, no, I'm doing really well. You got to get a grip, whatever. But I decided to go to school. I was a different person then. Not saying I made the wrong decision for myself then. Make it maybe now, but not then. I decided I wanted to go to graduate school and I needed to get a loan, but the loans weren't going to cover housing and food. They weren't going to give me money. So I said, okay, I'm going to go and be an au pair and live in somebody's house for free, and I'll cook and clean and babysit for them. And I put an ad in the paper. That's what you used to do in Blacksburg, because I had to go to Blacksburg to do the program. And I'll be a nanny, whatever. And I'm 30 years old and I'm a single mom. Like, I know some stuff, right, about being a parent. I'm not some 18-year-old kid or 17-year-old kid, whatever. And I interviewed with two people and both of them said no. And the person I was staying with had dated my sister in college, and he was a single dad and he had two kids. And after I was there for the weekend and I was having fun with the kids and whatever, he's like, why don't you just come and stay here? And I was like, okay. So it just worked. And that's how I got my graduate degree.
So we talk about positive persistence. Of course, you are positively persistent. And absolutely, we have those obstacles. So what can you say to somebody who may be feeling like, oh, my life is so hard? And again, getting back to where I look at my business and I'm working with people with their finances, and there's so much doom and gloom around that. And I just want to say, oh my goodness, you have so much hope. This isn't maybe as bad as you think it is. But when things feel hard, it's easy to go down that rabbit trail. Tell me about that. Tell me about the positive persistence and how you can whip yourself around really quickly.
Really quickly? That doesn't always happen really quickly. I think it's knowing that I have my own back. It's understanding that when I do focus my mind on something and it is in alignment, that I can make that happen. I know I can make that happen. I've done it before. And I know that I can trust myself to take care of myself in those situations. And my gut is going to tell me the right thing to do. Fear is such a block for us. And so just stepping back, as you said, and recognizing fear is directing me right now, that's not my real voice. What I'll even do sometimes when I catch myself getting in that fear place and starting to explain away why I can't do something or getting into that fear mode, when I recognize it, I'll sit down and I will visualize fear as this big thing. Like I'm driving a car and fear is sitting in the back seat and it's this big monster that's filling up the whole back seat. And then I just shrink it in my mind, and I shrink it into this little tiny thing like that. And then I will let another better voice get bigger. So I will see that in my mind grow big. So that's Mary, the bold self, Mary, the strong person, Mary, the confident Mary can grow big. And then I'm like, oh, yeah, awesome. I feel much better.
So you are taking what's taking you over, shrinking it down, and letting something more positive take over your thoughts and your feelings and that fear. You're absolutely right. False evidence appearing real. The definition of the word FEAR, fear. Because you've done a lot of different things and you're not afraid, clearly you're not afraid to step out, or maybe you're afraid, but you shrink it down. But you step out and know that there's something better, something bigger. I know you were writing a blog for a while, but then you wrote a children's book. And it's so sweet, but it has more meaning than just being so sweet. Why don't you tell me a little bit about your writing?
Oh my gosh. I love this book and I love the story around it. In 2023, I was just getting ready to go on a trip to Italy and I was doing a no spend September. And it was my great nephew's 8th birthday. And I wanted to send him something. I'm a woman, older woman, and single, and I don't have things lying around my house that I could send my great nephew that he would like. So it's like, I'm a writer. I'll write him a story. So I asked his grandmother, my sister, what he's into. I found out what he's into World War II and Bluey and Star Wars. And I said, okay, I'm going to write a story about my father, his great grandfather, and his time in World War II because he served in the Philippines and he trained in Australia and he was working with airplanes. So I wrote a story just for my great nephew. And I put pictures of my dad and the Philippines and all this. And I even put specific questions in the story just for him, total custom. And I had a marketing person I know put it all together. So it was in a book and I sent it to him and he loved it. He was just like, he didn't know anything about his great grandfather and he didn't know. Here, I've got pictures of planes from World War II and all this stuff. And he was just cuckoo crazy about it. So then the next month was turning 5, my other great nephew. So I was like, oh, well, I got to write a book for him. So I wrote a little story for him again about my dad and his brother. And it's really cute and funny. And the person who put it together said, but you ought to write children's books. These are great. They're engaging. They're really cool. So I just challenged myself in 2024 to write 10 children's books. Who does that? That's nuts. I just decided to do it. It's like, I'm just going to write 10 children's books. And so I set a specific time to write and I started writing children's books and I ended up writing 7, not 10, but I still got 7 done. That's pretty awesome. I celebrated that. But over the course of that year, in the spring of that year, 2024, I met this woman, Christy Orcutt. She has a goat. She rents out goats to eat invasive plants and weeds in people's yards and for public spaces. And I told her, shared my thing with her that, oh, I have this goal of writing 10 children's books in 2024. She said, oh, I would love to have a children's book to give to clients when I go to families and they have kids. So I said, will you let me take a crack at it? She said, sure. I interviewed her. I used to be a journalist, interviewed her, and then I created this story. And the things that happen in this fictional story happen in her real business. So it has this environmental slant to it, which is awesome. And I'm also a K through 12 licensed teacher. You heard my story that I went and got my master's in education. And so I put information about goatscaping and why it's better for the environment. And then I put activities that kids can do with their families to reinforce the concepts in the book. And then it needed to get published because Christy needed to give it to her people. Again, magically, I don't even know why. I was talking to somebody about this project, and somebody in the room said, oh, my friend publishes books. You should talk to her. She arranged an introduction. So I ended up hiring this woman because I didn't have time to wait for a traditional publisher to get the book when Christy needed it. We launched last May 2025.
That's awesome. And so the goats, they go in, they eat all the stuff. And I read a little bit of the reviews on there. But there is a goat named Disco. Disco. Is that a real goat that she has?
Real goat. And that really happened. So when Christy she doesn't name a goat until its first job. And that just happened that this goat's first job was at someone's house and they had a child. And so she invited the child to name the goat and the kid named it Disco. And that's something that happens in the story because it really happened in real life. I met Disco. Disco came and did an event in my neighborhood. And yeah,
That's amazing. So Disco is a real goat for all that are listening right now. You'll have to go get the book and read the book.
for goats. Hooray for Goats by Mary Burris. You can get it on Amazon, although ordered one on Amazon and they have a different printer. The quality is not as good as if you order it from me or
Okay, so we'll definitely leave all the information below so that people can connect with you when it comes to purchasing your book. So moving on, where are we today, Mary? What is it that you're looking forward to? You've definitely had a very abundant life and lots of great things to celebrate. And I love that you say that you wrote 7, even though your goal was 10 and you celebrated it, because as people in general, we're hard on ourselves. We don't take the time to celebrate ourselves. So good for you that you're putting that message out there because I feel it's an important one. But here we are today and this new year and gosh, almost the first quarter is over. But what are your plans for the next few steps that you'll be making?
oh my gosh. Lisa Marie, I'm so excited that you asked me this. I've had a dream since I spent a summer in France when I was 16 to live in Europe. And this year, I got together with my friend, and every year we do this, and we sit down and go, okay, what are our intentions for the year? What do we want to manifest? And I decided I'm staring down the last third of my life. When am I going to go live in Europe? I can't keep putting this off. I have to make it happen this year. I've been doing a lot of homework and investigation on visas and places to go and how am I going to support myself when I'm there. My real dream is to just be a writer all the time. That's what I wanted to do for forever. And when I was 50, I decided that I'd like to travel, write, share, and practice yoga. And those are the 3 outside of being with my family, the 3 most important things. So I was like, all right, this year I'm going to figure it out. So I've been doing my research and I also have a book project that I'm interested in doing. And I have figured out a way that I can get a PhD in France. And that PhD program could be the research I want to do for this book. And the end product can be this book that I want to write. Right. I'm so excited because the first step in a French PhD program, which is extremely different than what happens here in the United States, is you find a sponsor for your work. So I found out Friday. I decided I wanted to pursue this PhD and I wrote a journal about it. I did a visioning exercise in my mind about it. I found out about it Monday. By Tuesday, I had sent 2 letters in French to sponsors. I've heard back from one this morning and was like, oh my gosh. So now I'm going to be writing a response to one of these sponsors already. And I've reached out to 3 or 4 other people, including I'm a member of an organization that's focused on this book topic. I'm making inroads already. So a French professor who doesn't know me from anything, a guy who is the premier person in his field has already reached back out to me. That's crazy.
Did you say that they speak French or do they speak English?
French. So I used ChatGPT and translated this letter into French and sent it. I sent to 2 people. I haven't even checked to see if the other person's gotten back to me because I'm so ecstatic. This was the first one. He's premier in this subject area in France. So just the fact that he would even get back to me is worth celebrating. Oh my God, that's huge. That means I have a good idea. And even if this doesn't pan out, that I'm getting this done through a PhD program, just because I've always thought, oh, it'd be fun to have a PhD, whatever. Even if that doesn't happen, I know that I'm making the connections that I'm going to get this book. I'm going to get a book deal out of this. This is going to be funded. I know this. So I'm just that's a big move, right?
That is a big, bold move. Absolutely. I just think here, and my fear pops up. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, the language barrier. What does that even look like? How does that even work? But you know what? You don't have to worry about it because along with the
Not yet.
technology, Yeah, the technology and then your ability to know that you have the intention and that you're doing it no matter what, it'll all work out. When I went to Europe, I remember walking into a city and the main cities, they typically are bilingual. They know English pretty well, but you go out on the outskirts and there's nothing, it's nothing. So the first question would always be, do you speak English? So we had great luck doing that with that one question. And did amazing things with our family just because we weren't afraid to figure it out. So tell
Right.
me
And
about
if you try, they're lovely. And I totally get it. Think about it. What is the biggest complaint Americans have about French people? Oh, they make you speak French and it's just so ridiculous. They should just speak English. You know what? Here, people are like, when you come here, you need to speak English. The same thing. Why can't you be gracious to French people? At least try. All you have to do is try, and they will be lovely. And I do this all the time because I don't speak fluently. I just have enough French to survival level French at this point. I can understand a lot of words, but I don't get the context all the time. So what I do is I'll go into a shop and I'll say, Bonjour, je m'excuse, je suis américaine, je parle un petit peu de français. And what I just said, for those of you who don't speak French, is I say, hello, please excuse me, I'm American and I only speak a little French. And they are so charmed by that. They think that is so cute that they bend over backwards to help. They don't always speak English to me, which is fine. They think they're being helpful, or they are being helpful to speaking French. They're just like, oh, you're so sweet. You're trying. You're attempting. Love the French culture. I'm learning, whatever. And they're very sweet. Yeah, this is a whole nother thing to be grateful for. What you just brought up is that now there's the technology that I can go and do a PhD, a big highfalutin degree program in another country because I have the tools. And I can hit Google Translate. We can talk through our phones. I can translate whole documents in my computer in an instant. It's miraculous. Just think if we just use that technology for good, what we could accomplish.
and we're going to pull over towards the end of our conversation, sadly. But when you look at your life today, do you feel like you became the magic that you were once searching for?
I feel like every day, because I'm consciously working on it, I'm becoming more and more the person I dreamed I would be. And that's exciting. And being bold, being bold, getting over that fear and taking that step is what's so important, because if I didn't, I would never grow into my dream. I would never grow into the life that I've always known should be my life. Don't you sometimes have that little nagging voice? This is not all who you are. You can be that, but it takes discipline and it takes determination. Maybe not discipline, but definitely determination.
And tenacity. Just said the
Mhm.
same thing just a couple days ago. It was last Wednesday. Somebody and we were having a conversation and I said, I'm not done yet. Yeah, maybe I'm over a certain age, but I know that there's so much more. I'm not ready to just hang up my whatever I'm doing at the time, hang it up. I want to do more and I'm doing more. And that's all about the alignment, I think, that you talked about before. It's just knowing that you are in the right place at the right time, always having the ability to look out beyond who we are. We're not really supposed to see who we are. We're supposed to see beyond who we are and to be gracious to other people, to be kind, to have fun. Let's not forget that at this age, if I'm not having fun, I'm not doing it. So to
Right.
really know
Yeah.
and trust, yes, trust who
Knowing
we
who
are.
you are and being unapologetic about that. I'm a nerd. I just had this guy wanted to go take me on a date where we're eating dinner at 8 o'clock and then we're going to some club and then we're going dancing. And I'm like, no, I'm sorry. I'm going to be in bed at 10. Like, I get up early for a reason and that's who I am. And yes, I did all that when I was younger. So I really don't need to live it now.
Yes. And you're in charge. You can do that. You can say, this is what I am and this is who I am. And if you're not okay with that's okay with me. I want to just ask you if there's any words of more wisdom. I can't even say words of wisdom because I feel like the time that we hit the record until till just now, you have said so many amazing things. Oh my gosh, what a beautiful conversation. But is there anything else you want to leave our audience with as we close here today before I send them off with some information and how they can connect with you?
Oh my gosh. Just, yeah, be true to yourself. Listen to your body and your what's going on in your body. And if it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no. But like,
Absolutely.
don't
Of
let those
course.
little nagging get you. They're not you. Those voices are not you,
But the
right?
voices that are you, dismiss those voices, but the voices that are you, don't ignore them. When you said that, you just have that feeling, like you just feel it. I know that when the spring comes and the windows are open and there's that fresh smell in the air, it's like that inner excitement, that inner joy that's so pure and it can come from nowhere else. But just knowing and understanding, like, this is something that I'm excited about because all that other stuff will knock you down and we don't want that to happen. So, Mary, you are precious. I'm so excited for your journey to Europe. I want to come and visit you and hang out with you and go
Yes.
get a croissant
May
and
we?
just experience that. It's going to be amazing for you. Thank you so much for the gift of your time and your energy. I love it. It's so amazing. And we're going to put where people can connect with you, because if you have the ability to help them and some of the things that you said, I would love that to happen. Are there things that people can do to support you and your financial endeavors? Maybe purchase your book, connect with you on some other ways where you can help them. What does that look like?
Yes, you can. Like I said, you can purchase the book from Barnes and Noble or Amazon, or you can reach out to me directly and I'll personalize it for you. Oh gosh, send me good positive vibes for my journey. This journey, I'm so excited about this new one that I'm on. And if you have any questions about writing or you need a writer to write something for you, let me know. I'm happy to do it.
Great. Thank you so much.
The answer was clearer than you knew. With numbers and strategy, we'll walk you through. No more shame, no fear inside. We're turning pressure into power and fight. From paycheck to purpose, we rise above. This is your moment, it starts with self-love. Big, bold moves, abundant life. Fearlessly debt-free, we're doing it